Let's all scream. Let's all scream. Scream, scream, let's all scream.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's All Scream. My name is Saleh Al Braik,
I'm Shehlaa Ali.
And I'm Hassan Al Marashi.
and this is our 10th episode, the big 1-0.
Congratulations, guys. We made
Yeah,
it.
well done to us.
I feel like it's a milestone already, although I'm
Yeah.
sure for many podcast channels out there that, 10 is
Nothing.
nothing, but for
Yeah.
us, that means we've been doing this for 10 consecutive weeks. During lockdown, not lockdown.
I
Yeah,
don't know why it
that's
feels
true.
like it's been a while. Like when I look at 10, I'm like, oh, wow, it's been a while.
And I think every time when you look back, earlier this week, I was looking at our previous episodes and I was
Yeah.
just kind of listening to each one. And it was very much like a out of body experience.
Yeah.
Because you feel like in the very beginning, you see that we were discussing, topics that came to mind and topics that we're used to. And then the more that we went on, I just felt like we were getting more at ease with the entire process.
more
Right.
natural.
It was getting more natural. I think
Yeah.
Shehlaa is the most one because you guys do not hear the unedited, uncut version of this. But I think her job got a bit easier.
I remember the first episode took me over like 3 hours. And then by now, I would say it's just me listening to the episode. And then I go and I find, of course, our little mistakes, our little outtakes. And then I just quickly like clip them and just smooth everything out, and which doesn't take that long.
Well,
Yeah.
just for you guys to know, Shehlaa is our chief editor. So
Thank
if you
you.
guys did not know this already, and you now know, but she basically is the one that has to re-listen to this entire podcast
Yeah.
and turn it into
a finished product.
product,
Yeah.
which you
Yeah.
guys end up listening. So thank you, Shehlaa, for
You're
your
welcome. My
efforts.
pleasure.
And here's to another 10, hopefully.
Hopefully.
If I'm willing to do it. No.
So I just wanted to ask to start off, are you guys doing? Just wanted to ask and check in with you guys. So maybe let's start with Hassan. I haven't heard your voice. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. It's the last stretch, the last few days of Ramadan. And, I think by this time everyone kind of gets into the flow and you're already, the hunger probably and thirst doesn't bother you as much. And
Speak for yourself.
Honestly.
well, maybe that's just me.
Yeah, for me, I just need my coffee in the morning. I'm counting the days that I can have coffee in the morning again,
Yeah.
because that's the one thing that I wake up, I need caffeine in my system to be able to function with a baby.
I find myself now, because I'm still working remotely, right? So
Yeah.
I work from home, and so obviously all the time whenever we have our team meetings in the morning, it's always a virtual call. So I got so used to having my right hand holding a cup of coffee that it's been so difficult during Ramadan that I don't have
You don't
anything
have
there.
anything?
So that's something I'm looking forward to. I know it sounds so funny, but it's that morning coffee that
Yeah.
I really want to.
And that's the thing, is I feel, okay, I've always been a coffee drinker, but I've never been that dependent on my morning coffee
Yeah.
until now, until with a baby.
Yeah.
And I never knew how important it is for me until I couldn't have it anymore. And now
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, I want it.
No, for me, it's still the sleeping, honestly. I could sleep for an eternity after this. And back to what you were saying, Salah, about the calls. If I never have a conference call again, it will be too soon. I'm so sick of having all these conference calls. Obviously, it's part of the job and I get it, and part of working remotely. But I'm just so tired of it.
It's weird for me. I think I'm still not used to it. Again, I'm so thankful that I get to still work and I get to still be a part of the vision of our organization, but it is still very much weird to have interactions online, and you're basically, so sometimes, well, most of our conference calls, no one wants to switch on their cameras.
Yeah.
So I just have this vision in my head that everyone's just in
In
their
their
PJs and sitting in bed.
No, I'm very grateful that with my company, no one really has asked to turn on cameras except for one call today, which I had to miss because it's clashed with another.
Yeah.
So I luckily dodged that one because I haven't shaved in like
By the
2
way,
weeks.
I was literally just thinking about this in the beginning of the podcast. Is I cannot wait for Eid because then I'll see you guys actually shaved and properly had
Groomed,
a haircut.
yeah.
Oh, just to give you guys a bit of an insight. So Hassan's barber right now is Shehlaa, and my barber right now is Hassan.
Yes.
So basically, I don't know. I'm still not 100% comfortable going out to a barber shop right now. So Hassan kind of gave it a go and did actually a very good job. I got a few
I'm the only
compliments.
one that
Thank you.
doesn't have
Thank you.
a
Oh, yeah.
salon.
It's okay. I
Need
mean,
to
we could
figure that out.
attempt giving you a manicure, pedicure.
Sure. Thanks. I'm very scared.
I'm sure there's a YouTube tutorial out there.
Yeah,
Oh.
but you're gonna cut me and bruise me and God knows what else.
You'll
It'll just be nail polish all
you'll
over
end up
my
with like
fingers.
no fingers and toes left. No, but I do have to say, of course, I'm very grateful to have a job that I have, to take calls for, and of course there are people out there risking their lives and
Yeah.
many unsung heroes. So I don't want us to take that lightly.
Yeah.
But of course, in the spirit of humor and good fun, we're all struggling with our own things when it comes to this whole lockdown and
Yeah.
this situation. But on that note, with Ramadan coming to an end, and obviously Eid starting up soon, how do you guys feel that this Eid is going to be? Obviously, it's going to be different than the rest.
Yeah.
What are your expectations?
See, that's the thing for me. Last year's Eid, I was in Canada
Yeah.
and I was 9 months pregnant and I did not go out anywhere.
Yep.
I mean, I stayed in my uncle's house at the time. But I mean, like the year before that as well. See, that's the thing. With us, I feel like our first day of Eid consists of just having lunch with my sister-in-laws and just family and like immediate family in the house. And that's it. And I like that. So I think that this year it's going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see a big difference in that. And that's what I expect it's going to be.
Yeah.
There will be the lack of going out, which
Yeah.
we usually used to do the second day of Eid.
Yeah, and the lack of obviously visitors coming.
Yeah, that I think that's where we'll feel it because we used to because Saleh, Hassan's dad is the eldest.
Yeah,
So
so
we
my
used to-
dad is basically I guess you can say the patriarch of my side of the family.
Yeah.
And he's the eldest.
So we used to get a lot
usually,
of guests.
Yeah, usually we don't go very often to
But you
the family's
receive
house,
more.
but we receive guests
Yeah.
more.
For me, I think so I always grew up thinking that this was very normal until I, expressed what we do traditionally for Eid to other people, and I realized what we do is completely not normal. And we kind of go way overboard, and you guys already know this, but just so that people keep in mind, for those who don't know about Eid, so there are two Eids in a year. So the first Eid is the one that comes directly after Ramadan finishes, and basically it's a time where it's more of a celebration and people get together. There's obviously, whenever there's a celebration, people get together. There's the most important thing, which is food. And it's just a bunch of, when we were younger, kind of, I guess the tradition over here was the young kids would get gifted money.
Yeah.
Or gifts.
We
or-
had the same thing.
Yeah,
here in
gifted
Canada.
money or gifts from older people in the family. And so for my side, when I was growing up, I had two very active family activities from my dad's side and my mom's side. So on the first day of Eid, the tradition was always that I would visit my dad's side that were located here in Dubai. And that usually took up the whole daytime. And then at night on the first day of Eid, we would go, I would usually go out with my friends. And we
Yeah.
would go and have a dinner at a nice restaurant or
Yeah.
kind of get together. The second day of Eid, we would be going to visit my dad's side that were not located in Dubai. So we would go to Sharjah, and which is an emirate that's right next door to Dubai.
Okay.
That borders Dubai. And basically, we would spend the daytime there. And then post that, we would probably have, we would then go and have lunch as well in another family's house. The third day of Eid, I would go to my mom's side of the family, and that would last not just during the day, that would last during the whole night. And when I say going to my dad's family and going to my mom's family, I mean moving from literally house to house to house to house.
Like every half
I
an hour,
remember-
pretty much.
Every half an hour, we visit a new house. So that's 3 full
Oh my
days of just visiting people.
I remember joining you guys once when I was younger, and I remember,
one day?
Yeah, it was like a marathon.
So imagine one
I
day, imagine we do it
remember-
for 3 days.
I remember one year you guys came home. You came to our house, was the last stop
Yeah.
on your mom's side of the
Yeah.
day. And I remember you guys arrived, and I don't remember who it was, but you guys were so exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you were just like hi, and I can tell like from your eyes
That
and
we
just
were-
You were so
just
drained.
done.
We're going to
Yeah.
pass out.
And then I'm just like, okay, you know what? You guys can go home. It's okay.
But
Do whatever you want.
it's see, but for me, I love it because it's, we don't get to see everyone that we do see in
Yeah.
the
Especially
extended
these
family.
days, everyone's so busy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So going back, trailing to what's different, I guess for me, it's going to be very different because we're not going to be visiting.
Anyone, yeah.
As of now, hasn't been any announcement in the UAE regarding visitation during Eid. I know that there are a few countries in the Arab world that have officially announced a lockdown during Eid because of avoiding, obviously.
Expectations, yeah.
They expect people to go and obviously, visit family and relatives because that's tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far in the UAE, nothing has been announced. I don't know what it's going to look like in the upcoming days or when this episode comes out next week. But despite the rules changing or not, we're not gonna go out.
Yeah.
We've decided to stay in.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
Same
thankfully I have my aunt and my uncle and my cousins who all live in the same compound.
Yeah.
So we're gonna celebrate it together.
Yeah.
But I will miss seeing everyone, and I don't think it's going to be the same. I don't think you can virtually spend Eid with, I'm imagining every house has like a virtual Zoom call.
I mean, you can, I guess, but it's obviously it's not the same.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
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 I mean, like, I'm even imagining, because so basically, of course, as a girl or as a woman, we usually get ready and like properly do our hair and makeup and just get dressed in like a nice jalabia, which is just it's basically a traditional gown.
Yeah.
And so not even though we're gonna do, like, I still plan on getting up and getting dressed and maybe dressing also the baby up. I feel like it's not going to be the same because you don't expect anyone to see it.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to get ready, but it's just going to be for me.
It's so funny. I actually got a new pair of sandals.
Yeah.
And someone asked me and said,
Why?
who are you going to be wearing it for? And B, where are you going to be walking to them? Like, where are you going to be walking to wearing them?
Seriously.
You know?
Yeah,
and
because you're going to be in the house.
I'm
all
like,
the time.
yeah, I'm going to, you never know. I might go from the living room to the bedroom and back twice.
Wow.
And they're
that's
new,
so
so they don't
adventurous
have
of
any
you.
dirt on them. So you
Exactly.
can wear them indoors, technically.
So adventurous, guys.
I know, I'm trying to be rebellious.
No, but I think, to be honest, at least for me, the past two Eids have not been very connected in the sense that we haven't really seen a lot of family. We haven't visited lots of people. And I just realized it's a symptom of the times. People are busy and more disconnected, I would say.
Actually, I'm thinking about it, and I think it's people. Like, we have a lot of family that is traveling. Like,
That's true,
From
yeah.
your mom's side, I know that like some of your cousins were traveling for the past 2 years, and so I think it's just people are either traveling or just
that's
days
true
clash.
as well. But what I mean to say is that for us, I feel like this Eid is not going to be that different. Obviously, there's going to be things that we're missing out on.
Yeah.
Like, it's the first Eid for our daughter, and so we are going to miss out on introducing her to lots of members of the family who haven't seen
Yeah.
her yet in
Actually,
in
there are
person.
so many people that like. Yeah, actually, even I was planning on traveling to Iraq,
Yeah.
and I realized that I'm not going to be going around this time. Usually I would have liked to, like, I was planning on going either before Eid, right before Eid, or like right after the first day or two, and then spending, you know, like half the Eid there and half the Eid here.
Yeah.
That's usually that's always been my image as to how my Eid would have been
Yeah.
with a baby. So so the fact that it's not happening within her first Eid,
Yeah.
it's a bit disappointing.
Yeah.
And it's
so-
unfortunate that they can't come here as well.
Exactly. That's the thing, is it's not just me unable to go there. It's neither of us can go to each other's countries. So that's where I'm
see
at
it as
with the
different.
disappointment. Yeah.
I think for a lot of people, I think they're going to relate to that story a lot, because if you think about it, Eid, obviously, we come from a country that has over 200 nationalities.
Yeah.
Primarily, most of them celebrate Eid and do either go visit their family during the break, because for those who also may not know, during the Eid break, we obviously get time off from work. And sometimes, depending on when the days fall, you might get a long weekend. Specifically, this one, the break might actually be here in the UAE, a 3 to 4 day working day break. So you're talking about like a 6-day weekend. So,
which would have been an amazing.
Exactly. Which
time to
people would have
travel.
most likely taken the Thursday off, for example, to make it a whole like a 10-day holiday,
Yeah.
whereby most people would be traveling to see their families. For myself, I feel you in that one. I do have my family personally, my parents, my brother's wife, and my brother's 2 kids are all stuck abroad as well.
Yeah.
And we obviously have no idea when they will be returning home.
Yeah.
They're all doing well, alhamdulillah, and they're all safe. But that's also, I think, I didn't actually think about that when we were recording
this is their first year that they're not all of them are not going to be here.
Yeah, usually my dad does travel quite frequently.
But your brother is always
But my
here.
brothers, we always used to. So basically, I think it's become kind of tradition, or in a lot of, I guess, Arab families, if the father is not present at the time, the eldest son or the sons would present the family.
Yeah.
So, or represent the family. So I have 3 other brothers, and so we would always go
Yeah.
around together and go, pay our respects and say hi to different tribes, if you want to say, and go really traditional. But this one, one of them is stuck with my dad and my mom somewhere, and
the other
the
two.
younger 2 are in a separate house from where I am staying. And it's a bit odd. If they do, I'm just praying that and hoping that this is something that we're gonna remember in the long run. And I'm crossing my fingers that the next Eid. So if you guys recall early in the conversation, I said we have 2 Eids a year, and usually I might be butchering this, but the second Eid is always about 6 weeks after the first Eid, more or less.
I think it's a month and a half.
Yeah. So I'm praying that 6 weeks after it will be somewhat normal, at least here internally, that we can go and visit people.
I really hope so. That's the thing. The way you were just saying that, like, even your brother is within the same country.
Yeah, exactly. And we're not
you're
able
not
to.
going to-
The thing is also something about when I do say we visit different family relatives, the main reason, by the way, why I just want to justify why we're not going out is when I say we're visiting different relatives, here we have generational households. So you have a lot of households, very much like yourself, Hassan, where you are 3 generations in one household. Hassan's father lives with them here. Hassan lives here with you, Shehlaa, and then your kid. So all 3 of you live in the same house. So to be mindful of the safety of the senior citizens in the community, that is why we're staying indoors, because by
There's a lot
visiting
of
other
families
people, by visiting other people, you have a lot of generations and a lot of older generations living with them in the same household. So you don't want to put them at risk. So
Exactly.
hopefully, maybe in the next Eid, we'll have a more normal
Yeah,
Eid.
inshallah.
Inshallah.
But what are some traditions that you guys had growing up that that you still do, and maybe some traditions that have kind of fallen off over the years?
In my family, we actually, so the night before Eid, we always said, every year, by the way, we used to say, oh, we're going to make, so we make what we call kleja.
Okay.
I think you guys call it ma'moul.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
For a second, I was like, "What?"
For those who don't know, it's basically a pastry with either walnuts, pistachios, or dates inside.
Inside it, yeah. So we used to every year say, oh, we're not, like basically wait until the last minute, and then the night before we make it, and then as we're making it, we're like, next year we're not going to wait until last minute, and again the year after we wait until last minute.
By the way,
and
I
make
think
it.
that's a tradition in every Arab household throughout
put off
Eid.
the
The
preparations.
thing is, we all know Eid is coming, right?
Yeah.
We all know that it's going to arrive eventually, but yet you literally see the rush at the barber shops, the
Exactly.
rush in the the women who are making their jalabiyas and their
Yeah.
dresses, the
Everyone
guys making their
waits, like, last
kandoras.
minute.
Yeah, I don't know why we do that.
I
It's
don't-
tradition.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
And then-
it's part of the
exactly.
tradition.
And then
It's like we didn't expect it to happen
And it's
every
also
year.
tradition. Yeah, it's also tradition for people to buy new clothes to celebrate Eid.
yeah.
And so you always see like the malls filled up and people rushing. I guess this year it's going to be a lot of online ordering.
Yeah.
We've already started.
Yeah.
Especially with the new baby, we really wanted that to be to have that.
Tradition carried
Tradition?
on. Yeah.
So
I mean, for me, that's one of the traditions that have fallen off over the years, especially when I started working and making my own money.
Yeah. But you
They're
guys
really-
grew up also having new clothes every year.
Yeah, pretty much. At least a new kandora, which is, or thobe, as some people call it,
Yeah.
which is the traditional Emirati dress. But for me, over the years, I was like, you know what? All my kandoras are pretty much, they all look the same.
same.
No one's going to know if I wear a new one or not.
Yeah.
So when I started making my own money, I'm like, I don't need to spend it on that. I'd rather
Yeah.
spend it on something else.
Maybe new sandals or something.
Yeah, but now that I have a daughter, I want to carry on that
Yeah,
tradition.
I think that was one tradition I used to love, but I don't know about you guys. My mom used to actually buy the Eid outfits for us in the beginning of Ramadan, or around even before
yeah,
Ramadan.
lots of people would do it super early. We
Yeah.
were very last minutes growing
No,
up. I remember scrambling to a Kendora tailor to find one who would fit me in.
By
at
the way,
last
you guys
minute.
talk about, oh my god, a kendora. It's literally the same outfit. It
Yeah.
looks
In
different
exactly
shades.
Yeah.
exactly. Whereas for us, it was an actual outfit, like
Yeah.
an actual different outfit.
Speaking of my, when you're talking about dresses and Eid outfits, my mom used to tell me a very, very cute story about her. So my mom comes from a big family whereby she has, mashallah, a lot of sisters and so her and one of her sisters are very close in age, and so they used to each of them used to get a Eid dress, and they would wear theirs, and it would be a matching dress, different colors, but the
Yeah.
same style of dress. They'd wear it on the first day
That's
of
so
Eid,
cute.
and then on the second day of Eid, they'd switch it.
Oh my
So
God.
the
that's
other
so
one would wear
funny.
the other color, and the other
So
would
it's
wear
as
the
if they're each getting like
so
a
it's
new.
as if they're getting
Aw.
a new one. Yeah. My mom came from a very humble background, so she would always used to remind us about these little things, and
Yeah.
it just always puts a smile on my face. But I'm with Hassan in the sense that I don't necessarily shop for new things for Eid.
Yeah.
But I would maybe, I don't know, once in a while shop a new batch of kandoras, because at the end of the day they are all the same.
Yeah.
You're
He
just
does
buying
the
different
same
shades
now,
and different
yeah.
colors.
Yeah.
Like Hassan does the same. He literally just goes during I would say, I think, I don't know, every couple of months, whenever he needs a new kendora.
Couple of months is very frequent. No, maybe once a year, if that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you go, you
That's the
buy in
thing,
batches,
though.
right?
Exactly. And he buys
we're
a huge
unlike
batch.
you guys that have things that go in style, out of style, and also
Yeah.
women your jalabiyas and your stuff are way more expensive than ours.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
For us, it's,
They
I mean, the
can go
most
up.
the most I've spent, and this is a new phenomenon. Like Kendoras never used to cost this much, but the most I've spent is probably 300 or 400 dirhams.
Yeah,
And it
so like
depends on
$100,
Lucky
$100
men.
US dollars.
And that's just because of the fabric, and it probably even doesn't really cost that much. but
Jalabi
they've
is
just
here. If
marked
you're
it
gonna
up.
go for a proper jalabi, it's nothing compared to that price.
Yeah,
For I remember a memory I have, or
Yeah.
like a tradition that still lives on to this day, and that shocks a lot of people. So another tradition of Eid is obviously the Eid food that you prepare.
Yeah.
For us in my house, we do have a very traditional, well, I would say we do have a traditional Emirati breakfast. So you have
Oh,
your
okay.
balalit and everything, and balalit, for those who don't know, is kind of it's like sweet vermicelli.
It's vermicelli basically with sugar and saffron.
Saffron.
And
and,
sometimes also we serve it with
cardamom.
eggs as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They put it
basically-
on the top.
Egg, they're called egg noodles, I think, where basically it's a. I'm trying to think of the way you describe it. It's an omelet, and then it's rolled and cut into slices.
Yeah.
Basically.
So, and obviously other things that are prepared.
Yeah.
But at the same time, our lunches are the most random ever. So usually the first day of Eid, the lunches is something that's a celebration, and people always celebrate it in huge groups. And so whenever I tell people about what we do for lunch on the first day, people always have this shocked look as to why. So what we have in my family, and it's been a tradition for as long as I remember, and it will continue to be a tradition, is on the first day of Eid, for lunch, we have Chinese food and Iranian food at the same time. I'm talking
That's such a strange combination.
I'm talking vegetable fried rice with kubide, kebab, and having it at the same time. It's the most amazing thing.
People can't see my face right now.
But I'll explain how this happened. So when I was really young, we used to have turns whereby we would have different family members host the first day lunch.
Right.
And there used to be the traditional food. You'd have your rice, you'd have maybe a salona curry, something like that. But then what happened was, so there was a time where we would be shifting from house to house. And I remember at one point in time, we didn't know whose house was, we lost count of whose house was hosting the lunch. And we didn't know who, there was a disconnect, and we didn't know who was bringing the other, who was hosting that lunch. And so my cousins came over, and they didn't want to come in empty-handed, so they brought in Chinese food with them. And I remember at our house, we didn't, we scrambled at the last minute. We didn't want
Yeah.
anyone to go hungry or to come into a house without food. So we had ordered Iranian food. And so we just had this explosion of Iranian and Chinese food at the same time.
Yeah.
And it was the most, it was so good that it literally, I'm talking, by the way, this is like over, I think 15 years worth of tradition,
Wow.
even more. So every first day of Eid, if you guys come over for lunch, you're going to have the weirdest combination of food.
Chinese.
But trust
I have to
me,
say, my taste buds are not processing.
no, it's weird. Like you have sometimes like zureshk rice, and
That's the thing is I can't imagine that.
but imagine like zureshk rice, and then over it you have like a sweet and sour chicken. I know it sounds crazy, but it's so good. You guys will thank me later.
Okay, sure. Actually, Saleh, speaking of your mom's story about the clothes, so you know how I was saying my mom would buy us clothes before Ramadan, or
Yeah.
even like during the first days of Ramadan?
Yeah.
She would make us wait and wouldn't allow us to wear the clothes until 8. And I remember even when we would go to like fam or like friends iftar gatherings,
Yeah.
or any like outing, a special outing leading up to Eid,
Yeah.
she would make us wait, and she would tell us, no, you're not allowed to wear it. And it was so agonizing.
I can
that
imagine, because
wait.
it's like someone like
It's a new
basically getting you a
outfit.
gift.
Yeah.
And you can see it, but you
You
can't do
can't
anything.
do
Yeah.
exactly. And like I remember, I still have this vision of like several years where I would have the outfit there hanging in my closet, and I'm
But
just
you're
like,
not allowed to
I
wear it.
want to wear it so bad. Actually, speaking of which, also there was one year I wore an entire Eid outfit, and there was the tag still on it. And I went to the mosque and I was praying. And then like later, my friend comes up and she's like, your tag is hanging. And I was
Oh
like,
my
oh
God.
my God.
That's so funny.
So, yeah.
How about you guys? Like, since you got married, did you create any of your own kind of Eid traditions that you guys do together?
Well, I think the first Eid that we celebrated together, we traveled.
Yeah. So
Okay.
much for
Yeah.
tradition.
Which actually I regret and I don't. I regret it because it was one of the last Eids that we had with
your mom.
my mom, Allah
Yeah.
yarhamha. But at the same time, we were newly married, and we
It
wanted
was-
to
yeah.
experience. It was one of the few times that I had some
Off.
time off.
Yeah.
But other than that, usually it's just I think for me I've put more effort into getting ready, grooming properly, buying a new kendora and all of that. So that's something that's been different for me.
Yeah.
And for Shehlaa, I've noticed as well with you.
I get up and I get dressed, I do my makeup, and we also I've noticed we take a couple's photo.
That's
so
nice.
this year, what's nice is going to be a first family.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
really
photo,
cool.
Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah, so that because usually I would send it to my parents.
Yeah.
So I think this year, now realizing it, this year will be the first year, like Hassan saying, that we'll
That
have,
you'll have your baby with you
yeah,
in the
we'll
photo.
have the baby there.
That's really cool, and you can actually have like a collage later.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just like Eid.
That would be cool.
Are you guys? You mentioned Hassan that you flew or you traveled the
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
So there's this thing, and like I think more of a debate always that goes on. We mentioned it earlier again in this conversation that sometimes Eid obviously you get a longer weekend. So a lot of the people, if they're not flying away to visit, say, family, say if you're Emirati or anything, and you're born here, so your family is basically here.
Yeah.
A lot of the younger generation prefer to travel and spend their Eid break traveling, either with friends or their wives, their
Yeah.
husbands, etc., or their families. So are you guys for celebrating
against
Eid abroad, or are you more about celebrating Eid here?
I mean, personally, of course, everyone's free to do whatever they like. But
Yeah.
personally, I feel these days we have such few opportunities to gather with family and with extended family.
Yeah.
And we have so many other times where we can travel on our own or with friends and stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel, it's a wasted opportunity to miss out because you don't know how many more family
Yeah.
gatherings you're going to have.
Yeah,
I
true.
agree. I mean, again, we're going to sound like hypocrites traveling on our first Eid together. But
No, but we
learned.
realized that
Yeah.
it wasn't what it was cracked up to
no,
be.
exactly. That was the only
And we
Eid
would
that
ha-
we did travel.
Yeah, we would have probably enjoyed ourselves more had we stayed.
Stayed definitely, yeah. So
I'm-
I would say the same.
Yeah, I'm a huge believer of celebrating Eid. I don't know why I said believer, but I'm a huge supporter of celebrating Eid here because exactly like you said, Hassan, you don't know how many Eids you have with
Yeah.
those that you
Yeah.
love, and we already have such few reasons and excuses to gather as family, especially extended family. Like
Yeah.
these are obviously my aunts, my cousins, but I don't get to see them because or maybe before Rona, we used to live in such busy lives and busy
Yeah.
lifestyles that we didn't have time to see people, or we never
Yeah.
made time.
Yeah.
And so twice a year you get to see all those that your extended family.
Yeah.
That's something that's beautiful, and again, I would much rather spend that reconnecting
Yeah.
and having that emotional connection than, I don't know, seeing some place new.
Yeah.
And I understand, of course, no family is perfect. Not everyone. Maybe you don't get along with every single member of your family.
You're
maybe-
excused.
Yeah. So like people might be dreading those gatherings and stuff, but still, the one time that you go, you might end up enjoying it. You never know, or you might end up mending a relationship that was
Yeah.
previously damaged.
I don't know. I'm a firm believer that one day, looking back, you will appreciate those, even though you say, or at the time you say, "Oh, I'm too lazy," or "I'm not in the mood," or
I don't wanna see
I don't
so
want
and
to
so,
see
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like you will eventually have a day where looking back you'll be like, I wish I had
Yeah.
had put more effort or just spent more time.
And if anything, this whole situation has probably shown us that, we shouldn't sweat the small stuff, and life is too
Yeah.
short to worry about those
Definitely.
things.
Definitely.
What do you guys think? Kind of maybe the last point to wrap up the discussion about Eid is what are some, I would say, new things that you'd like to take forward in Eid? Maybe it's a new tradition that you want to start or a new lesson that you've learned, but specifically related to Eid moving forward. Is there anything that you want to add?
I think for me, I would, like, growing up, I always remember thinking, and this is partly because of the TV and media that I used to watch. I used to think holidays like Christmas or I don't know, Thanksgiving or even Chinese New Year, anything that wasn't Eid sounded and seemed so much more exciting and eventful.
Yeah.
And so I think I would want for my family and for my daughter to make Eid what it is, which is an exciting time.
Yeah.
And not make it such a pressure-filled event. And,
Yeah.
So I really want to drive that and to make it enjoyable.
Yeah.
Because that's what it should be.
Yeah, I don't know, for like looking in back at my past or the past, my childhood basically. I don't like, as much as you guys say pressured or pressurized in Canada, and I think this is because it's in Canada, by the way, and it's not in, like, for example, here in the Middle East or where your families are much more bigger.
Yeah.
In Canada, I literally had two uncles, and those were the two uncles I saw.
Yeah.
And during Eid, so it was never pressured, or it was very much appreciated. It was very much welcomed by even the youngest member of the family. It was always something that we looked forward to, and we got so excited because for us, actually, we would wake up, get dressed, and straight away go to the Eid prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then from there, we would stay in the mosque and we would have breakfast. And then from there, we would all go to one of my uncle's house. Usually it was my eldest uncle. And we would sit there and we would also get our Eidiyas, which is basically the Eid money that you're
The
given.
gift,
Yeah.
And then after that, we would actually go to like an amusement park kind of thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
It-
like a family outing.
Yeah, and it was literally one, and all the Arabs were there.
Yeah.
During Eid, I remember. So, and that's where we would all go. And that was it. And then you would finish your day, you would go back home. So,
Yeah.
I don't know, for me, looking at that, I liked that. And like you said, it's not pressured.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh, you have to go see this person. It's a matter of just getting all together
Yeah.
Yeah.
in a common place.
Yeah.
And
And
so,
enjoying that time
exactly.
together.
I think that would be cool if you did with your daughter. Maybe, here kind of did this thing where you don't, you do the whole dress up,
Yeah.
but also celebrate Eid and, maybe go to a theme park
some-
or
Yeah,
maybe do
something fun.
do something fun.
Yeah.
And there's so many things now to do. Well, maybe
Especially
not
with
to do.
her, she won't really have many kids her age. So, I mean, when we were younger, even we have so many cousins our age. So, like, getting together was an event and an amusement park in itself.
We created our own
Yeah.
brand.
But I feel for our daughter, it's gonna be different. So I think
Yeah.
going out will be a nice,
That's
nice
the
way
thing,
to balance
exactly,
that.
because I don't like Hassan's saying, we don't have many people that are her age or kids, so I think it is going to be less in that sense. And then I also
At least
think,
until she starts school.
yeah, exactly, and then she'll start making friends. So I think for the time being, and I don't know, for now I feel like she doesn't really know or understand it.
Yeah.
So it's more, in my head, I'm imagining it more to be like we were saying, the family photo. I would love to actually maybe even get like a professional family photo taken, like every Eid, and that way
Obviously
she can
not
have
this one.
Obviously, we'll just take it ourselves. But yeah, so I feel like that's how it's going to be.
Nice. That's a nice, yeah.
And at least something to mark every Eid.
Yeah.
You know.
How about you, Saleh?
I think something that I would like to take forward is As much as I really enjoyed visiting all the family and relatives that are here, but something that I really want to do is appreciate it more.
Yeah.
I think similar to what I've said in previous podcasts, we were literally living every day just zooming by, not taking and appreciating the moment. We
Yeah.
were just
Yeah.
running around. But this entire experience for the past few months has really led me to believe that I need to appreciate every single thing. So I think coming, hopefully the next Eid and the next, 7 weeks from now,
Yeah.
when it comes around and if things are back to normal, I'm going to appreciate every
Yeah.
hello, every goodbye, every smile, every relative that I
I'll
see.
just go outside and be like, hi, hi.
I'm literally going to ask about them and ask about what they did
Yeah.
during quarantine. But I think just kind of, I would say, feel Eid a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something I would like to take forward.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that should wrap up our discussion today.
Yeah.
I hope you guys, I know that this episode will release a few days before Eid, so we wanted to just to wish you Eid Mubarak in advance.
Yeah.
I hope you and your loved ones, wherever you are staying safe and staying put, and hopefully you guys can still create beautiful memories that you will remember forever.
Yeah.
But this is just us wishing you guys,
Eid
our
Mubarak.
little unit here
Yeah.
at Let's All
Yeah.
Scream. We're with you.
And definitely message us and let us know what you guys do for Eid and what your traditions are and what you would also like to carry on into the
Yeah,
future.
it would be great to hear your
I
stories.
would love to
and,
hear it extra. Yeah.
Yeah, and get inspired maybe.
And maybe we
Exactly.
want to add, a third cuisine to our first day
Sure.
lunches. Maybe Iranian and Chinese isn't enough.
I mean, maybe we will take that on. No, okay, not that extreme.
Italian.
But again, if you guys want to reach out to us, you could email us on our official email, which is letsallscream.podcast@gmail.com, or you could follow us on Facebook or on Instagram at our account at Let's All Scream and directly just message us over there and let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you guys do for Eid. What are you excited about? What's different about it? We really want to continue having a two-way conversation with you guys and really appreciate your support through all of the past 10 episodes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Eid Mubarak.
guys.
Yep.
Eid Mubarak.
We'll see you
Bye.
soon.